almost too cold to pull my phone out, but it is cold and windy. It wasn't supposed to rain this morning, and then it rained this morning, so I'm cold. My hands are wet, and it's about to be, been in the woods, but I'm about to go into the open, so it's about to get really windy. Here comes the sun. Oh, I'm in the sun. There's my shadow. Oh, there it goes. The surf out today is incredible. The most waves I've seen on this whole trip. Pretty amazing. So I'm starting to warm up a little bit. My hands are still cold, but my core is warming up for sure. Definitely some diffused sun around. All right, I'm still cold, but check out this scene. Some rain coming down right there. Okay, it's 11:30. I'm on the community walk, and this is what I'm talking about with my hands. Circulation is not there. This is something I'm noticing north of St. John's. These communities, I think, are going to be more suburb type communities of St. John's, rather than south of St. John's, where you get the old fishing villages. Okay, I know something I hadn't mentioned on here yet. So I started my hike in Capahayden, which is south of St. John's. And anybody from Newfoundland, when they say, when you're going south towards Capahayden, the start of the trail, they say going up the coast. Yeah, I don't know. I speculate that we're so close to the North Pole that maybe they get turned around somehow, the needles flipped, or I don't know. So I guess since I'm heading north, I'm going down the coast. These perfect steps in this talus field is definitely pretty amazing trail work. not making that jump. You can tell a lot of people have done that though. All right, just finished walking through Flat Rock, the community. The point on the Father Troy's side was really cool. Waves were crashing, some cool big boulders all over. No trees out there and on the Cape, and that was really cool. Now I'm in the woods. This is the longer path, 15.8 or something like that, and I've just been poking along, and that's kind of what feels good right now. I'm feeling fine. I could definitely go faster, but I'm just enjoying my time out here. I don't know if you could see that real well, but waves were crashing in, and there was like a natural bridge down there, or a natural arch from the waves. I'm not sure, but that was really cool, watching the waves kind of come together under the arch. Definitely cool. I don't know if that has a name or not. I'm not sure, but I believe some of those might be arches, or at least forming, arches in the forming. Even back there. Pretty cool. I think this is around Styles Cove. Oh, that's a pretty stunning little bay. I don't know if you guys can see across the way. Cool little waterfall coming down over there. Nice blue water. Waves crashing. Lots of rocks, that's cool. Coming up towards Pooch Cove. There's that waterfall. And this is awesome out here. Alright, so I figure now that I'm mostly done with this trail, I would like to address the difficulty of it. Because I think that it's possible that I glossed over a little bit of it. So in the southern half, I was having a blast. It was an adventure, but my feet were wet, and the footing was very technical. Other people that I met down there were definitely struggling. It's easier than the long trail, if you're familiar with that terrain, but the footing might have been worse. Definitely didn't have the elevation, so that was one of the things that I considered easy. But it's also very brushy. Lots and lots of areas where it was, you know, scraping your legs through balsam or blueberry or whatever it might be. I'm not sure exactly where it gets easier, but I would say that the mud is mostly over by the time you get to Capelin Bay, if you're heading north. When I'm talking about the technical footing, it's just there was never a flat place to put your foot, it seemed. So I found rather than being able to walk heel toe, like people do generally, I was kind of forced to land on the forefoot and stabilize my ankle. So I had a lot of extra stress on those tendons and ligaments in my ankle, and I felt it once or twice. It never became like an actual issue, but because of that uneven terrain, you know, most people would probably say you probably want some extra ankle support. However, I wouldn't say that. I would say I wouldn't wear sandals on this trip if my ankles weren't ready for it. Hopefully that makes sense. This trail is one massive undertaking for a maintainer. There are hundreds of thousands of pieces of infrastructure out here. With the boardwalks, there are just miles and miles or kilometers and kilometers of these boardwalks, and a lot of work went into those. Tons and tons of steps, and they're all done in the same aesthetic with the chainsawed groove marks and for tread. Pretty amazing. Hundreds and hundreds of rocks have been moved into place. I mentioned that talus slope a little while ago with the perfect staircase right up it, which meant tons of rock had to have been moved to be able to get those where they were. What else? Bridges, the signs, every intersection with a questionable trail always has a sign pointing you. It says trail, and it's got that person on it. I'm not even really sure what that logo symbol is. So yeah, tons of infrastructure out here. I will say some of it's definitely rotted back into the ground, been covered up by sphagnum moss, or the boards have just rotted and broken, and a lot of them are just still sitting there. There's a lot of nails sticking up, rebar sticking up, so you got to watch that. They've put little red, orange ribbons around a lot of those pieces of rebar and nails so you don't step on them or kick them. So rebar, more rebar. All right, so here's an example. What is that? Tell it's a guy with a hat, and he is maybe standing on a boat pushing it, but this isn't Venice. So yeah, I'm not sure what that is. But they're putting up a lot of new steps too, but a lot of their old stuff is definitely starting to, well, a lot of it's already been rotted, and they don't seem to be coming in and fixing those, but maybe they are. Definitely a ton of work involved in this trail as far as upkeep for all the infrastructure, the wood, planks, bridges, the steps, all that stuff. It's really not bad, and it has to do with how much is out here. There is literally hundreds of thousands probably of pieces of wood. So I'll put no blame on them. I imagine it's really hard to maintain. Oh, and I also have to mention the aesthetic. Those signs, that's pretty cool. The little triangle signs, the little like striped black and white lighthouse kind of looking signs or posts, the signage at every other end of the trail telling you how long the community walk is. All that stuff is really helpful and good. Each cove has a sign. Not every cove, but you know, those signs with the little painted portion to describe the cove or whatever. Those are super cool. Yeah, I think it's got a pretty cool aesthetic. And I haven't talked about my feet in a while and how they're doing. My feet are great. Yeah, I mean, there was some friction issues in the first few days because of the wet, and then it would be a long road walk with kind of muddy feet that then the mud would dry up, and it was just a lot of extra friction, and so that bothered me a little bit. Socks helped out when I needed them. I wore socks the other day because I thought it might help with a little bit of warmth. But overall, I haven't really been wearing the socks a whole lot. Friction's been fine. Tendons and ligaments have been fine. They've not even really been achy in the morning. I had an achy arch at one point. But yeah, overall my feet are great.